HaKodesh, the month. That's what it means. Chodesh means month. Ha simply means the. It puts a title to it. It's kind of like we have the season or we have a season, you know. It puts an emphasis on it. And in this particular chapter, we are being told about how that first month was identified and how it was to be recognized permanently. It doesn't say until Messiah comes anywhere. I don't see that. It says perpetual. This is a perpetual regulation from generation to generation. You are to remember this. You're to know that this is the first day of the first month. You are to know on what day, the 10th day, that you will take a lamb or a kid. You will select it from the flock. You will bring it into your house and you will keep it in your house for 4 days like a pet. I have a friend whose family, they decided they kind of wanted to be farm, you know, and they brought a calf in to raise the calf so that they could butcher it the next year, right? And their daughter looked at them and said flat out, "I will never eat meat from an animal whose eyes I have looked in." If I've looked in his eyes, I'm not eating the meat. That was kind of a wasted effort on the family's part in some aspects. But that's kind of the idea here, to recognize this lamb, this kid that is brought into the family. It can be a goat. Did you notice that? This is to be a perpetual thing. And then for a week, you don't eat anything with chametz in it, which means basically nothing with yeast or nothing that puffs up or rises, something that creates a yeast in and of itself. In some traditions, you can't even eat rice because it is a grain that puffs up, right? It's considered a grain. In other traditions, it's okay to eat that. You just can't eat wheat or shmelt or any other grains that are grown in Israel. And rice wasn't grown in Israel. There are lots of different rules and regulations, and there's different ways of keeping some of it, but there are some things that are pretty specific, right? Some things that are scriptural, very black and white. And some things have been used and added and explained and put together by all kinds of different groups for the celebration of this festival. Why? I mean, all the festivals are important, right? But God says this one begins the calendar of months. This one is the first of the months for you. First, we recognize that all of the festivals are kind of inserted into time. God created time for us. He is outside of time, right? He is outside of time. We are in time. God created the time for us. And he's inserted these festivals as a way of bringing life and spiritual renewal to his people on a regular basis. How many of you know you need spiritual renewal regularly? It's not a one and done deal. Okay? I mean, I don't know about you, but I know that there are times that I look back and I go, okay, Lord, I need to refocus. I need to refocus on you because I've kind of gotten busy with life, right? And we can get busy with life. You know, in the fall, we celebrate Rosh Hashanah, right? That means head of the year. In the fall, it is the beginning of natural life. The word year, the word shana, that is translated as year, means to repeat. Shana, Rosh Hashanah. This is the beginning of the repetitions. The years repeat. They repeat, right? We know fall because leaves start falling, right? The weather starts changing. The grass begins to turn brown. Of course, it might still be brown from not having been watered in the summer, but that's a whole different type of brown. It is a repetition of natural life that actually begins with death. Natural life actually begins with a form of death. As the leaves come down, the natural life comes. Every time a child is born, the mother is risking death. You know that, right? There is a risk there. But life comes. The natural cycle of life repeats, repeats, repeats. Now, we may get older every year, so there may be some things that are different in us and in the way our bodies respond to it, but it still repeats. The word Kodesh, which is translated month, HaKodesh, right, the month, is actually a word that means to be renewed. Renewed, renewal. It's a renewal. So in the fall, we have this repetition beginning with death, and then after a while, we have spring come and life starts coming back, right? But it takes the months. Every month, we have a new moon, which means there's no moon in the sky. You can't see it. Then there's the sliver, and then it grows until it's a full moon, and then it gets smaller. And in the next month, the beginning of the month, it starts over again, right? It's a renewal. The moon is born anew every month. That's the concept. And God is speaking to his people, and he says, this month is the beginning of the months for you. This month is the beginning of the renewal cycle. This month is the beginning of when things begin to be renewed in our lives. This month has two possible names. One is Aviv and the other is Nisan. Aviv means ripe, okay? It is in this month. This month is declared when the barley is ripe in the land of Israel. It used to be they actually waited till the barley was ripe. Now the calendars are adjusted by mathematical and calculations and all of that, and pretty much the barley will be ripe based on the way it seems to work out every year. Now, maybe a different day, but it's usually within a week. So it means ripe. This month is ripe for us. It is ripe for something new. It is ripe for the harvest. Nisan, which is the other name for this month, is related to the word Nisim, which is something we probably recognize from Hanukkah and the celebration of Hanukkah. It means miracle. Nes is the short version. Nisim is the long version. So it's similar. Nisan is recognition of the miracle. So this month is talking about the miracle. There is a miracle of rebirth. Tishri, in the autumn, begins the natural year. That is the culmination of creation. That's when man was put in the garden. It's probably when Yeshua was born into the natural world. It's the natural year. Nisan begins a supernatural year. A supernatural year. It is the month of renewal. Yeshua was resurrected in the month of Nisan. His natural birth took place in Tishri. His resurrection, which is a spiritual birth of sorts, took place in Nisan. When was the tabernacle to be erected? We read it in our Torah portion today, right?
First day of the first month.
The first day of the first month. Was it ready? Was it ready to be erected before that? Was it to be erected as soon as they had all the pieces together and as soon as they brought it all to Moses? No. Tradition says they had it together and ready to go 2 or 3 months before. But God said, on the first day of the first month, the month of renewal, this is when the tabernacle was to be assembled and put together. There's this point that we need to recognize. We think that the climax of the revelation on Mount Sinai was the giving of the Torah, right? The giving of the word? No. It was the instruction of the tabernacle. It was the giving of the tabernacle. Why? Because it is based on the tabernacle that mankind is able to have relationship with God. The word of tabernacle, it is the house of God. It is God dwelling with man. It is like going back to the garden before sin, where God walked among men. The tabernacle, the law is given and all that, but part of that is the tabernacle. The culmination of all of that is the fact that God can dwell with his people. He wants to dwell with his people. Why did he redeem Israel from Egypt? So that he would have a people that were his. He's redeemed them in Nisan. Now he shows them in Nisan, I want to dwell with you. Put my house up. Put my tabernacle together. In the place that God invites us to dwell with, to meet him, because it's his dwelling place, we come to meet him there. He gives us an opportunity to bring, our translations all say sacrifices. It's a bad translation, I think. Because really, the word korban means to come near. A gift for coming near. A gift for coming near. You know, in the natural world, in the world of the leaders of the world, the King of England, when you go see the king, you bring a gift, right? When someone comes and has an audience with our president, they bring a gift, right? A gift is given. It is an honor. It is a way of showing honor. The sacrifices of the tabernacle are there to allow us to honor a God who wants to dwell with us. They are about drawing near to God and being able to draw near to him. It is about relationship. The timing of it reminds us of the cost of this new relationship. What did the relationship with Israel cost? For them to be released from Egypt, it cost the lives of the firstborn sons of Egypt, did it not? It was not a cheap cost. Just because something is free does not mean it is cheap. For the Israeli people, for the sons of Israel, for the sons of Jacob, they took a lamb into their household, or a goat, a baby goat. They slaughtered it. They put the blood on the doorpost. They roasted it. They did all these things that they were told to do, where the lamb died in place of their firstborn child. It took a death to bring them out. The death of the firstborn. The picture is here. And it's very clear. And yes, it is fulfilled in Yeshua, right? Born in the month of Tishri, the natural life, natural cycle, resurrected HaKodesh. Sacrificed HaKodesh. His life given. And God gave him life back. You know, if it weren't for the resurrection, Paul says we would be of all men most miserable. We would be of all men most miserable, because of what use would it all be? But God showed who his son was by giving him life. In the kingdom, which is what we're reading about in Ezekiel, and understand the kingdom that is being talked about in Ezekiel is not eternity. Okay? It's not the new world that will be created at the end of all time. This is the kingdom of Messiah come to earth, that 1,000-year reign. This is in the physical, here on earth. Who brings the sacrifices to the temple so that the people can draw near? The prince. That was one of the first things that I was struck with this week as I was looking at this. Who brings the sacrifices in the timing? The burnt offering, the grain offering, the drink offering, the sin offering, the peace offering, which is the shared meal. The peace offering is a shared meal, literally. Who brings what is necessary to cleanse the temple, to keep it prepared for the presence of God? The prince. Who is the prince? I believe the prince of Ezekiel is none other than Yeshua, returned and reigning from the throne in Jerusalem. I believe this will take place. Why? Because, you know, even though I was taught that sacrifices are all about sin, and they're all to cleanse us from sin, right? That's what I was taught. What the scriptures teach is that sacrifices are about cleansing the space so that God can dwell on the earth among people. Yes, there are sin offerings, but they're about cleansing. They're translated as sin offerings, as olah, and it means it's a cleansing offering. And we are going to learn more about the sacrificial system starting next week. Why? Because we get to start the book of Leviticus next week. This week we have finished Exodus. Next week we start Leviticus. And I'm going to go through what is a burnt offering? How is it handled? Who gets the meat? Is there meat left over from a burnt offering? What is the grain offering? What does it represent? What does it do? What does the drink offering do? What does the sin offering or the olah do? Because, you know, having a baby is not a sin. And yet, if you have a baby, you get to bring a sin offering. Conceiving the child is not a sin either. In fact, it is a direct obedience to a command of God. It's in direct obedience to the command of God. So we're not bringing a sin offering to forgive us for having had sex and creating a baby. That's not what it's for. It's about cleansing of the potential death. The blood, which represents the life gone out. And I'm going to talk about that next week. We're going to start with Leviticus, where he talks about each of the offerings. And we'll have a couple of weeks to go through them, because the first couple chapters of Leviticus list them in some parts of it, and the next section that we'll read will list them again in some other parts of it. And so we'll have time to really look at what they are. But what I want to notice today is that all of these are offered in time. Here we are in the kingdom in the book of Ezekiel. This is the kingdom temple. And it says, it will be the prince's obligation to present burnt offerings, grain offerings, drink offerings at the feasts. The feasts. What are they? They're celebrations in time, right? Rosh Kodesh. That's the head of the month. The beginning of every month, there's a sacrifice. And on Shabbat, islands in time. These are all islands in time. You know, you're not free if you don't have free time. Not free if you don't have free time. All of these festivals, all of these things are designed to help us draw closer. We have Passover, which shows us Yeshua, the Lamb who dies for life and for freedom. We have the first fruits celebration in the same week, which is the beginning of the first harvest, the harvest of the barley, which is representative of the people of Israel, the Jewish people. And it is a picture of the resurrection of Yeshua. And unleavened bread, a whole week that we get to do without bread. I will tell you, I'm grateful that I'm not a strict Torah observant Jew. You know why? I would be having to clean every nook and cranny of my house. I watched a little video last night from, how do you pronounce her name? Maim? She's an actress. She played Blossom. Huh? Bialik, yeah. And she was showing the things that she and her family are doing to prepare for Passover. Because this is when we begin preparing for Passover. And she's clearing everything off the counters, and they're washing them, and then they lay down a paper over the top of it, like a parchment paper type, or a baking paper, and puts the stuff back on it after it's been cleaned. So the counter is covered, and every open shelf is treated the same way. And the refrigerator is treated the same way. And the freezer is treated the same way. I couldn't begin to want to do all of that. I'm doing good to vacuum my rugs every week. I lived in a cul-de-sac with a woman who would bring, like, the couch out and smash it. And I always thought it was just spring cleaning, you know. And one time her husband and I, Mr. Myers, said to me, no, that's for Passover. She has to get rid of all the chametz. So the cushions from the couch, the blankets, she wanted to bring out the mattresses because he ate a sandwich in bed 6 months ago. I mean, that sort of thing. And I'm like, wow. The preparation. But then a whole week of denying yourself anything with chametz. What is chametz? It's that which causes us to puff up. I grew up that represented pride. That represented sin, I mean, the whole concept of sin. That represents sin, right? That leaven is a picture of sin. Leaven is a picture of pride. Pride does lead to sin if we let it. But if we don't, it's not bad to have a little pride. You can make a bread at Passover as long as you bake it before the yeast begins to rise. If you take a handful of flour, of any kind of flour, and you add water to it, and you stir it up, and you let it sit, what happens? Those of you who bake, what's going to happen if you let it sit long enough? It'll start to rise. It'll start to rise. You see, leaven, you don't have to add the leaven to the dough. It happens naturally. It's in the air all around us. What you have to do for it to be approved for Passover is pound it out and bake it before it has a chance to rise. Which is what, 8 minutes or something like that? 14 minutes? I forget. There's actual minutes They've done the scientific studies on it. And what it boils down to is I can't let my pride sit long enough to allow me to sin. And so for a whole week, we are willing to give up our pride, to remind us that pride left unchecked can lead to sin. Those are the 3 festivals that are all happening this month. Pesach, first fruits, unleavened bread. Passover, the death of Yeshua. First fruits, his resurrection. And the week of unleavened bread is his walking among his people, teaching us how to live. The festivals are here to teach us about God and about our relationship with him. If all we do is keep the festivals because they're fun, then as far as I'm concerned, we've just wasted our time. If we keep them in recognizing that this is all about us having relationship with God and going deeper in our relationship, then we have done well. Every year remembering Yeshua died. Every year remembering there are things in my life that I need to not nourish, that need to be eliminated. Remembering every year Yeshua was resurrected, and I will be resurrected as well. The hope, the great hope, the hope that supersedes the natural world. When God gave this command regarding the months, it says it will be the first month of the year for you, the assembly of Israel. You see, the first of the year, the natural year, is for everybody. The whole earth lives in the natural realm, does it not? But for us, we are to recognize the first of the month, that inserted salvation, that inserted time that says, I'm redeeming you from the natural world. Now live above it. Live above it. We are not bound by the natural world the way our neighbors are, those who don't know God. We are to live above that natural world. We are to recognize that we are the children of the Most High God. And we are to live as such. This is the first of the months for us to recognize that we are different from the world, that we are bought with a price, that we may glorify God in our bodies. We are bought with a price. We belong to him. And he wants us to draw near to him, just as he wanted the Israelites to draw near to him. But the very last part of our reading in Exodus says something that's like, what? He's erected the tabernacle. He's put it all together. He's done the anointing. He's prepared. And the cloud covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of Adonai filled the tabernacle. And Moshe was unable to enter the tent of meeting because the cloud remained on it, and the glory of the Lord filled the temple. And then we get to start Leviticus, where he explains to us how we can enter into that temple, into that tabernacle, into that place with God. I'm looking forward to studying Leviticus again. I know a lot of people don't like that book. It's because we don't understand it. Do you know where Jewish children begin their study of Torah? Leviticus. Let the pure study the pure is the rabbinical instruction. Let the children study what it is to be pure. So we'll be there next week. Make sure you come back. But for today, we have a meal we're going to be sharing together as a family as we celebrate this, the first of the months, and as we recognize what God has done for us. Prepare your hearts and your houses in the next few weeks. Passover is going to be special.